Good morning, everyone. So today I will be discussing to you the introduction to SQL, or what we call the structured query language. Okay, so as an introduction, when you say SQL, this is the standard programming language used in creating database. So this is cross-platform. So when you say cross-platform, you will be using the same standards or the same what do you call this one, syntax across different SQL servers. May it be MySQL, MS SQL, IBM DB2 or Postgre, or even Oracle. You will have the same functionalities. Okay, so when you say SQL, it is divided into three different parts. You have the data definition language, or what we call the DDL. We also have the data manipulation language, or the DML, and the DCL, or the data control language. Now, for the coverage of our course, we will be focusing on data definition language and data manipulation language. So, for this part of our lecture, we will be focusing first on the data definition language. So let us now check what is a data definition language. So when you say definition language, it includes commands to create database and objects such as tables, indexes, and views, as well as commands to define access rights to those database access. Now for the data definition commands you have the create schema authorization, or we call this in database the create database. You have the create table along with its qualifiers or constraints. You have the not null. This is ensuring that the column is mandatory or will not accept any null values. You also have here the unique constraint. It will ensure that the column that the column will not have any duplicate values. Primary key, this will define the primary key for a table. Foreign key, this will define a foreign key for a table, which enforces relational database. Default, this constraint defines the default value for the column when no value is given. Check, it validates the data in an attribute. Then you also have here create index. This index is useful for searching purposes. You have here create view. So when you say create view, this is a virtual table which will be discussed later in the SQL topic. You also have the alter table, meaning it will alter or it will add, modify, or delete attributes or constraints in a given table. You also have here, of course, the create table as create table as it creates a new table based on a query in the user's database schema. This is creating a copy of a table using the existing table in your database. You have here drop table, that is removing an entire table completely and including its data. Drop index, that is dropping the index that you have created, and drop view. So you have to recall all the data types in SQL. So all data types are similar across programming languages, whether you're in C++, in Java, in Python, and so on and so forth. You have three main data types. You have string, numeric, and date and time. When you say string data types, it refers to characters or variable character. So you have here the different string data types. Just scan through the presentation or the lecture that I have uploaded in NewStep so that you will be able to be familiar with the most common data types used in SQL. We have the string data type. We also have the numeric data types. When you say numeric, the most common ones are the integer, double, float, decimal, and currency. Okay, you also have date and time data types. So you have date time. timestamp, time, year. We also have current time and current date and sys date. So now let's go to manipulating your database now, or let's create a database. Okay. So let's start. If you can recall, let's start to create a database from the normalized form. So if you recall, you have the normalization video that I have uploaded. Okay, if you can recall that video, let me share the screen. So if you can recall this, you have here a normalization example. You're going to normalize a sales report. Okay, so in here, this is the raw table. Now let us try to run through this. Let's go to the normalized part. So this is now the third normal form. So we will create the database for this particular example so that we can continue the example that we did in the normalization video. So we will continue that with or we will translate that into actual physical database. Okay, so let us start. So we are now with the data definition language. Before you can do the data manipulation language, you have to go through first the DDL, or what we call the data definition language. So those commands include create database, create table with constraints, and then you can have the outer commands, and you can also have the drop commands. Okay, let's start. So take note, please do take note of these tables. Yeah, let me show to you a demonstration on how to create a database. Okay, so first is I want you to launch your SAMP control panel, and when you are already with your SAMP control panel, make sure that you have started your Apache and your MySQL server. Okay, after doing so, I want you to go to your browser. Now in your browser, I want you to type localhost, example, localhost / php my admin. Okay, so once you have your php my admin homepage, this is how it looks like. So in here, on the left panel, or in the left navigation menu, you have here the different databases that we have created. Now, in this part, the top navigation contains all the functionalities that you can do in database. Now, I want to be very clear with you. I don't want you to use the shortcut in creating the database. I want you to use the command line interface, or the CLI. So to do that, you just click on the SQL tab. Now here is your CLI. Take note that the default delimiter of SQL is semicolon. If you will check, phpMyAdmin already assigned the delimiter semicolon. So whether you forgot the semicolon or you put the semicolon, your query will be evaluated. Okay, so first, let us create the database for our example. So the first thing that we do in creating the actual database is to create the database itself. You cannot create tables once you do not have a database. So how do you do that? Have here create database. Then let's name our database demo. Okay, so notice I am not going to put any semicolon. I will just click on the go button. And then I will have here the success message, and then I will check the left navigation of my PHP My Admin. I have here the demo database. So before I can create tables under the demo database, all I need to do is to click or to select the demo database. Notice that you can create tables here, but I don't want you to use this. I still want you to use the command line interface. So for the command line interface, let's start creating the tables. Now, once you're going to create tables, you have to do first the tables that do not contain any foreign key. Okay, so let's have first the export destination table. So create table. I have here the export. So let's name the table export destination. We have the export destination, then we have open parentheses. So take note, in database there is no braces nor brackets. We can only use parentheses. Open parentheses, and let's start with the attributes of the tables. So we will have here the export destination code of type integer. I want to put the length 5. I want to set it not null, and I want to set it as primary key. And then I want also to have the export destination name. So export destination name, I want it to be of type varchar of length 30, and make sure that it will not accept any null entries. And then close parentheses and go. So my table has been created. So the table will be shown on the left panel under the demo database. So let's continue with the other table. Let's now go to SQL, then let's create the product table. Product. So I have my product code of type int and of length 5. And then I have it to be not null. And then I can have it as a primary key. Then I have my product. I want to use character of length 15. Have here not null. Then I have my unit price of type. For example, I have here float. I have my whole number. Oh, I have this whole number places and the decimal place. So here, notice that the first part is the whole number part. So this refers to the length of the whole number part. And the second part after the comma is the number of decimal places allowed in your float data type. Then I have here not null. Then, so notice if I will put semicolon, it will still be accepted. So I have created two tables now, the export destination and the product table. Now let's go to the sales table. So create table. So I have here report code of type int and of length 6, not null. I want to set it as primary key. And then I have my sales date of type date, not null. And I have my export, uh, yeah, export desk code of type int of length 5. And then I can have it as null. Then I have to set the export destination code as a foreign key. So I have foreign key, export destination code, references, export destination table, particularly the key, export destination code, and then that's it. So let me check. Report sales table. What's this? Unexpected beginning of statement. Create table. Okay. Then I have here foreign key, references, export destination. Okay. So if I will check my export destination table, I have here the code. I have here export destination code of length 5. And when I am going to check on the sales table, export destination code of length 5 set as foreign key. Now let's create the last table. We'll create table sales statement. So I have here report code of length 6. Then I have product code of type int length 5. I also have my quantity of type int length. For example, I have 10, not now. And then let me assign. Remember that report code is a primary key from the sales table, and prod code is a primary key from the product table. So therefore, these two attributes are foreign keys of the table sales statement that we are currently creating. So let us define a foreign key for these two attributes. So I have here foreign key report code. Let us enclose this in parentheses. Report code references sales table report code comma foreign key prod code references product prod code, and then let's close our table. So take note that this sales statement table does not contain its own primary key. So this is an example of an associative entity. So you can recall your associative entity from chapter 3, in which an associative entity can be derived when two entities have a many-to-many relationship. So in this case, the product and the sales table has a many relationship. So we have to create a bridge between the two tables for easier implementation. That is why we created the associative entity sales statement. Okay, let's have it. So that's it. We now have our tables for the database. So since we are still in the data definition language, let us try to execute what they call this one, data manipulation language on the next video. So basically, when we say data definition language, these are the basic or the very foundation of creating your database. First, create your database. Next is create the tables under your database. And in creating the tables, all we have to do is to create first the tables that do not have any foreign keys. Because these tables can be used or the primary keys of these tables can be used as a foreign keys to other tables. Just like for example in our sales statement. Notice that in our sales statement we don't have any primary key. What we have is our foreign keys, the report code and product code. Now if we did not create the report in the sales table and the product table first, we cannot define report code and product code as foreign keys. Remember that when you're going to define a foreign key, it should be a primary key from a source table. So that is why it is really necessary to create first the tables that do not have any that does not have any foreign keys before you create tables with foreign keys. You really have to be very careful with it. Okay. So that's all for the data definition language.